from the outside in, I have never seen Coach K be that open and honest as he is in the SI cover story that Jeff did and in the piece that I did for CTM, talking about how his world was rocked after he lost his brother Bill to cancer right around Christmas time. He's always been so commanding in his presence and almost impenetrable the way he is as a coach, as a personality. And for him to open up and talk about crying around his players was, I thought it was just incredibly rich and honest. And I was so grateful that Mike went there with us on television as he did with Jeff in print.
He's a coach that doesn't really have anything left to prove. I mean, if there was a Mount Rushmore for coaches, his head would be there. I mean, he's done everything you can do. He's turned down $40 million with the Lakers. He's turned down the Celtics. He's been at Duke for 34 years. He coaches the Olympic team, the U.S. national team. He's still doing the U.S. team, by the way. And I think at this point for him, it's about the satisfaction he gets of working with some of the youngest, most talented players in the world. And I suspect, he's going to do it as long as he can walk. I mean, I just think that he loves it that much. He doesn't have to prove anything anymore. He just does it for the love of the game.
But were you surprised, if I could just interrupt you to ask a question, were you surprised how deep he went with you? Emotionally?
Yeah, I mean, you never know when you start these projects where they're going to go. And the truth is, when the project started, we were cruising along, and then in the middle of the season, his brother passed away. You can't anticipate, from a journalist standpoint, you can't anticipate that, just like in life you can't anticipate that. So when that happened to him, his life took a turn, and so did the story. And it was fascinating to be there when that was happening. I mean, I remember 2 days after Mike's brother passed away, at that point, neither I nor anyone else knew that had happened. But I was there the first time he returned to campus, and I saw him walk into the gym, and he looked different, physically different than I'd ever seen him before. This is a guy who looks like stone when he enters the gym on game day. When he walked in that day, he had tears in his eyes. And I remember, I made a note right when I saw him. I was like, what's wrong? And then I watched him the whole game, and he wasn't barking at the officials. He's usually riding them like a horse. He wasn't doing that. And he wasn't on his players. And a lot of times he never got off the bench. And I thought, something's not right. And at the same time, Jabari was like, it was like he was in like third gear, on the court. It was, and so the slump and the loss coincided. And to me, that was a nice metaphor for their relationship, because when Coach K comes out of that tailspin, his personal tailspin, it's when he's then able to pull Jabari out of his slump. And then together, it's almost like it's like a script for Hollywood when you think about it. They've been on a march since then. Their whole team has. It's been pretty unstoppable. He told me, in fact, in the reporting, this didn't make it in the story, but one of the things he said to me is, he said, if I coached Jabari the way I coached players 20 years ago, I would destroy him. Kids are different today than they were 20 years ago. And Jabari is even more different, and he said, so I coach him differently than I coached Grant Hill, for example. And I think one of the reasons he's been able to sustain his success through generations is because he has changed with time. And if you look at who he's got coming in next year, he has 2 of the top 3 recruits in the country coming to Duke next year. So it's not like he's lost his edge, and it's not like the best kids in the country don't want to come play for him. They do, because he's a perennial winner. I mean, that's the bottom line, is he wins.